What's up, everybody? So I've been getting a lot of questions and some comments, and and that's really cool. One of the ones that is becoming more common is, what's it like in Nashville? I'm thinking about moving to Nashville and all that. So you want to move to Nashville, right? There's a lot of ways to skin the cat, all right? So when I got here, I got in with the writers' nights and the writers' rounds and stuff. Now, I knew some people here when I got here. They all had their own gigs, their own situations. So it wasn't as though I came to town looking for a hookup, although having a friend with a recommendation or a friend with an opportunity is great. And if you've got something like that, just like in the business world or whatever, I'd say go for it. That being said, I got here and I had some friends in a few different corners of this industry in this town, and did some auditions and went on a couple of tours as a extra guy, as a guitar tech, as a merch guy, and all that stuff. But I didn't really get started playing properly until maybe about a year is about how long it took me, and that was more my personal problem, not so much a lack of available resources. I had a bit of an attitude problem when I got here, but nonetheless, I got in with the writers' circles, the writers' nights first, and I think that's a great way to do it because, frankly, songs are the lifeblood of all of the music industry in general. Without songs, there's nothing to stream on Spotify or Apple Music. Without songs, there's no records to buy. Without songs, there's nothing playing in the background of your favorite TV show. Without songs, there's no real bands to go see. So songs really are the lifeblood of it all, and that's what I love about Nashville as opposed to other areas, is that here, songs really do take front seat. In other parts of the country, you may find a different sort of songwriting community, songwriting structure, but here in Nashville, it not only is it collaborative, it's everywhere. I mean, we play gigs during the nights when we're in town, and we write during the day. We have writing appointments and all that kind of stuff. So it's not uncommon to have your day, at least a couple of days a week or more, filled with writing appointments when you're not gigging. And so I got involved, like I said, with these writers' nights at different places. Brown's Diner, the Commodore. There was this place called Pix, which is no longer there. There was the Red Rooster, which is now Live Oak. There's places like Doghouse. There's nights like Revival 615, Bus Call, Whiskey Jam, the Wednesday Night Hoedown. I mean, and that's just a few, to name a few. They are in every corner of this city. Franklin and Brentwood and Donaldson and Madison and Nashville and Kingston Springs, the Performing Songwriter. I mean, there's just so many. And that's a good thing because it allows you to kind of get out there and figure it out and see what you got and make tweaks and stuff. It's like public practice, And that's one thing. That's one thing I would definitely say about Nashville a lot of times, even from an industry standpoint. It kind of just feels like one big practice room. There's a lot of guys who have songs and they play them out and but then you got to go and take them out on the road and sell them, or you got to get them published into iTunes or Spotify, push to playlists and everything. So, you know, you get a pub deal and there's just all these other elements to it. So I would say that songwriter nights in general are a great way to meet people, meet artists, meet other writers and stuff. And if you're a sideman or a backing musician and you don't fancy yourself much of a singer or a writer, I would say point number 2 is still hang around with these writers and these songwriters and all of this kind of stuff, because these are the people that are going to hire you at some point or another. And whether it's a party or a celebration at the PRO, like a SESAC, an ASCAP or a BMI building, they have things all the time. Or whether it's something as simple as a smaller, you know, showcase like a Whiskey Jam, bus call, whatever. These are great places to meet artists and meet people who are, you know, doing the thing and maybe could employ you long term. The B side to that, or the other side to that, I would say, is of course Lower Broadway, downtown in the Honky Tonks. Now, there's a lot of folks who would view that as somewhat less or somewhat as inferior, but personally me, it's the same coin, it's just a different side. Because even the biggest of the big musicians who play with the biggest of the big acts will have a gig downtown on Broadway. It's not uncommon for so-and-so's drummer to be, you know, when they're not on the road touring with, you know, some major tour, they'll be downtown taking a gig. Whether it's because they actually need the money, or whether it's just because they love to play, or whether it's just to stay loose on their instrument, doesn't matter. That is very much a part. That is very much a part of what I would call the recipe or the cocktail of what it is to, you know, make a living and doing this. So you've got writers' nights, you've got Broadway. Another angle to all of this would be like in the session world, and realistically that only happens again if you know the writers and you know the people singing the songs. They'll call you, and the session world is really interesting. I've personally seen that, you know, you kind of have to go out of your way to market yourself and show yourself off as a guy who hangs out in studios. And I hate to say it this way, but sometimes I've noticed it doesn't even really much matter how great of a player you are, because they're going to quantize everything, they're going to line everything up, they may even auto-tune things, they may even add effects to your instrument in post-production anyway. So what was once maybe something to wear as a sort of an upper echelon badge of honor, being a studio guy, now seems to be a little bit more grounded and down to earth, because again, the way that songs are made now is so digital and in the box and manipulated after the fact and tweaked and remixed and all of that stuff, that the guys that you see making records, now a lot of them, the upper echelon is still the upper echelon, the A-list guys are still there, but it's now possible to maybe be not as great of a player and get into that world. And a lot of people do that, especially on the song pitching side. Because what does it matter if it took them 53 takes to get the guitar sound right? You know what I mean? Or to get the playing, the actual precision of the playing down. They never know. What matters is the finished product, you know. Again, it's about songs. Another thing I would say is don't rely on social media exclusively. In fact, social media, much like the recording world, can be somewhat deceptive, because nobody knows how many takes it got to get something right, whether it's TikTok, Instagram, Facebook video, YouTube, all that stuff. Nobody knows how long it took you to get that 3 minutes of produced perfection down. So relying on social media is cool in a sort of a business card sense. You know, it's cool in that sense, but as a sole means of getting attention and putting yourself out there, I would not do it. It kind of reminds me of this, you see these dudes in downtown sometimes, and they walk around with sticks or with a guitar on their back or whatever, and they have a sign or they have it on their t-shirt that has their name, their number, their socials and stuff. I wouldn't go that far. I really wouldn't. The best approach is to be yourself, to be authentic. And I don't mean authentic as in like online authentic. You know, you're just another person trying to do this for a living. You're trying to make this happen, and that is not lost on anybody. That's what we're all here for. So, you know, being approachable, being a nice person, not being pretentious, not being, you know, too high or low on substances, and, you know, just kind of being a straight shooter is really the way to go. You know, you're not trying to necessarily impress anybody. You're just trying to be one of those guys, one of those gals. And that's you know, Jerry Seinfeld line again. You've heard me say it. I just want to be one of those guys or one of those gals. I just want to be one of that crowd. I just want to be a musician that works and stays in demand and keeps his calendar full and is known for having a good reputation. That's really all it amounts to. I want to be known as a guy who gets the job done, who has the tools and has the work ethic and the skills and the experience necessary to do it. And that's not lost on anybody. So I would really aim for that. And, you know, your reputation matters. And people do forgive. And, you know, you have phases of your life where known people who were alcoholics and they're not anymore. They're drug addicts and they're not anymore. And they've come around and they've made a complete change. And we love to see that. There's no real celebrity culture here, thank God. It's just kind of, once again, it's not lost on anybody what we're all trying to do. And it kind of seems that the biggest blowhards and the ones with the most pretentious attitude are the ones that that kind of find themselves on the out, you know. And it's because, once again, it's very, I don't want to use the word organic, that doesn't sound quite right, but it's just kind of there's just no secret. Everybody knows what they're here to do and what they want to do. So you know, I hope some of that is helpful to you. I would just say make good relationships, show up. You know, if you want to do the Broadway downtown thing first, you know, pick 2 or 3 places. Don't pick the biggest places and the most obvious places. Pick, you know, 1 or 2, maybe 3 places, and hit them on that same night, every night of the week, or as often as you can at the same time slot, and you'll see the bands and the band members, and you'll kind of get to know them, and maybe you get an opportunity to make friends with them. And as time goes on, maybe you get a chance to, you know, show someone what you got, or you get a spot or whatever. Just talk to people, be approachable, be friendly, be a straight shooter. And you know, that's how I would approach it if I was anybody. So it's definitely a commitment. It's a time commitment for sure. I would say plan on no less than 5 years to really truly say you dug in properly. You know, sometimes it happens quicker and sometimes it happens sooner. I mean, takes longer. And everybody's path is different. Everybody's desires are different musically, the genre, the direction they're going. I'm grateful because I get to put on a lot of different hats. You know, I get to wear the pop rock hat, I get to wear the R&B hat, I get to wear the country hat, you know, sort of Americana, roots rock. You know, I get to do pretty much all of it that I have ever set out to do. Blues, you know. So I'm very grateful for that. And to everybody who whoever has given me a chance, I'm tremendously grateful. last little piece of advice I'd say is, even if you don't fancy yourself to be a writer, write anyway. That's the one thing that you can always do that doesn't cost you anything. It's the one thing that you can have as low of an overhead as you want in a book full of assets, or books on books full of assets, or files on files of assets. I wish that I'd written more. I always find myself wishing I had written more. Practice more and written more are always the two things that I find myself wishing I had done more of. So I try to take advantage of that lesson and practice more and write more. And I think that has continued to serve me well. And it's the one true discipline, if you call it two disciplines, the one, generally speaking, musical discipline. Write more and practice more. And that's truly what has helped me tremendously. Anyway, I hope you guys have a fantastic day. Stay warm, happy holidays, and we'll see you soon.